Following the joy is not always rainbows and butterflies, but let me explain. I think it's just in the beginning of following the joy, and then once we can move through this specific period of time, we are free to enjoy the new timeline that we're moving towards. So, hi, I'm Araya. I am sharing videos every single day on how to remember who you are and get what you want out of this life. I'm currently here in Switzerland, solo traveling Europe, about to head to France and just see where life takes me. I sold everything that I have in California other than a few suitcases of clothes and whatnot, and now I'm just on this spiritual journey of removing everything that wasn't in alignment with my soul's path, and that requires getting really honest with yourself. And we often tell ourselves so many stories that we believe them, even though like initially we knew it wasn't necessarily true. Like, oh, I really like this person, or I really like this job, or I really want to live here. There's a part of us that knows when this is true and when this isn't true. And we can spend a whole lifetime moving away from our truth because it becomes strong muscle that we develop to not listen. And so then we have to work towards developing the muscle where we do listen, where we do know our truth, and we do move towards that. And so what I've been talking about on here is how do we create a life that we love, that is truly fulfilling to us, no one else but to us, our soul's path. And it's this concept of getting your mind and your soul in alignment and choosing from there, choosing from the infinite possibilities, right? But after that, after we choose, there's this period of time, this potent period of time, and we came here for it. There's nothing wrong with it, right? We signed up as souls to come to Earth to experience it all. One of my favorite analogies or metaphors or whatever this is, it's from the book Existential Kink. It's a good book. It's a very interesting perspective. And she talked about how, and I don't even know if this was her idea, but she talked about how there's light, right? So we are the light. There's light in a projector in order to watch a movie, and the projector is showing on the screen. But if there was no darkness, if there were no shadows, I almost just whistled right there. If there were no shadows, then all we would see is light. And as beautiful as that is, it's not really entertaining, right? We want to experience the light. We want to see the light in movement, right? And so that's what the movie is. When we go to watch a movie, we're watching the contrast so that we can see the light. And that's what life is too. And so we signed up here to experience all of it, not to think that we are the darkness and the shadows and everything, and to believe that we're anything but the light, but to remember that we are the light experiencing ourselves here on Earth. And it's a joy. It's what we wanted, to come experience these emotions of sadness and confusion and love and happiness and all of the things that make us human, right? That's the beautiful part of being here. And so when we choose what we want, when we finally get clear on like, yes, this is what my soul wants, I know this for sure. It feels right. It resonates when I visualize it. I know it's for me. I feel comfortable. It doesn't feel like it's because someone else influenced me to want it. It's been in the back of my head for years and years and years. And finally, I'm acknowledging that I've been ignoring it and convincing myself that maybe I want something else. But this is it. When we choose it, then we're in this potent period of time, this human experience period of time. And so I'm here, right? And I chose what I want. I figured it out. I'm like, okay, I get it. I've wanted to be here in Europe. I wanted it for years and years and years. I couldn't bring my ex-boyfriend with me. I was trying to convince him, trying to convince myself that that timeline would work, but it wasn't what he wanted. So for 4 years, almost 4 years, I was like, okay, I guess this is never gonna happen. And then the pandemic happened, all this stuff, and I was like, oh, if I had just gone, if I had just started traveling, maybe I would have got trapped in another country or something, and that would have been exciting. So I finally acknowledged it. I chose it, and then I acknowledged what I want to be doing. I want to be sharing messages of the truth online. I don't want to be doing this, like, not to say that I won't be on Instagram and like other platforms, but it's just like, it's so small. It's like that you're meant to deliver things in such a short time and play the game of this like short attention span that we've been developing, and this ADD that like our social media has been ingraining in people that maybe weren't even born with it. I don't want to play into that game. I don't want to have to, I worked in production for a long time, and it was like always a matter of like, how can we get their attention within 7 seconds and like deliver the message and make them feel, and like, I don't want to do that. I want to just channel the message that is here for you right now and all that it needs to be. My spiritual awakenings have been with the assistance of YouTube and the people who show up on YouTube, because the message can be as long as it needs to be, and you can feel that truth and that authenticity when it's in here, and it's not this like edited thing that's trying to convince you that it needs your attention, right? Anyway, tangent. So I decided what I wanted. I chose it, and most of it is like following the joy. Where do I want to go next? Do I want to go to France? Do I want to go to Portugal? Do I want to go on this trail? Do I want to try this food? Do I want to, you know, and it's fun. It's like this dance, like, where's life going to take me? And these balancing forces come in. And so that's the part where we have to remember, it's not that it's like joy and suffering, it's joy and remembering your truth. So I was on the trail yesterday with Arlo and my dog, who I'm traveling with, and there was a situation where there was another dog and they were both off the leash, and I always look at the other owner. I'm like, do you want them to play? Because Arlo is good at heel, so like walking by my side, if that's not okay. And the other lady was talking with another lady, and they were off in the distance, and they were kind of like ignoring. So they looked and kind of gave me the okay. I was like, all right, they'll play. And like, they had a lot of fun. But then her dog runs towards Arlo. I was like, play. And then they start playing, and then her dog is like running towards them again, and then knocks one of the ladies over, and Arlo falls behind and also is part of the tumble. And so then I run over, I get the dogs, I make sure they're out of the way. I'm like, are you okay? Do you speak English? I'm so sorry. Like, can I help you? And she's like, get your dog, get out of here. And I'm like, okay, I hope you're okay. And I get Arlo, and we're walking away. And then she's like, I need your number. And I was like, okay, but like, I want to be clear, like, it was your dog too. Like, your dog hit you, and then Arlo was in it, but like, just so we're clear. And then she's like, no, it was only your dog. And I was like, this is interesting. This is so interesting. And in that moment, I was like, oh, this is one of those pendulum balancing forces thing. Because I was like, I know the truth. And then this unconscious, this illusion, like, this isn't even real. This is my like old programming creating this perceived reality. To test if I'm really able to move into the timeline that I choose. And so I'm kind of having these thoughts, and I'm going in and out of unconsciousness and consciousness, and I'm like, no, like, just so we're all clear, like, I was watching the whole thing, like, I saw what happened. My dog was part of it, and I'll give you my number, but like, just so we're clear. And as I'm becoming more and more conscious, I'm watching their behavior change, right? And so I stay conscious, and then they're like, oh yes, it was my dog, and like, your dog was in it too, so like, we could split it. I was like, okay, that's a little bit better. And so then I'm giving my number, and I'm like giving my number while also like thinking, like, how interesting is this? Like, just lean into the trust of the light, like, lean into the knowing that even if her medical bills were crazy, even if like, that's what you have to do, you have to go down all the possibilities to prove to these balancing forces that you are not a victim of them, because you can trust that you will always be okay, because you are infinite and you are, guided. And so I was having this experience in this conscious world while also in this physical world. And I'm like, I am okay. I am okay. I chose this timeline of abundance, of joy, of freedom, and like, it's all going to be okay. And then if I would slip into the unconscious, like I did for a second, because then the fear is like, oh no, what if like her medical bills are so expensive? And then these ladies in the reality are like, that doesn't seem like a real phone number and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's a real phone number. I was like, what are you talking about? And then I like go back into the work, and I'm like, trust the process, like it's all gonna be okay, just like stay in your truth. And then the lady's like, oh yeah, no, actually that does seem right. Like I remember now, you told me you're from the US, that's a US number, blah blah blah. I lived in LA, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I was living in Orange County. And she's like, oh, just down south. And I was like, this is weird. This is really weird. It's like 1 second it's chaotic and 1 second it's really nice. And then in the very beginning, when I was like more in the fear, unconscious, lack, and all of that, she's like, oh, I'm hurting, it hurts, and I don't know. And then as I'm like, okay, no, it's gonna be fine. Like, I trust in whatever the highest truth. Like, I'm never going to be left to suffer in piles of someone else's bills that like were half maybe my fault. And and then she's like, oh, actually, like, I feel fine. Like, I think I'm fine. Like, maybe I'll wake up and I'm sore or something, but I just wanted to, like, make sure that, like, to be safe and, like, blah, blah, blah. And then she's being super nice. And, like, it was literally as if we shifted timelines within that whole experience. Like, it went from, give me your number, you're at fault, not me, and you're lying about your phone number, and blah, 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 to, like, oh, like, where do you live, and blah, 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 and what are you doing here in Europe, and, like, I'm totally fine, and, like, it's all good. And it was just so interesting. And so that's my example, is, like, we go through our life as we're moving out of this unconscious and into the new earth. We can go through and remember that there are going to be circumstances that will come up to see if you are truly a vibrational match for this new timeline that you choose. And you have to stay conscious. You have to stay prepared and truly a vibrational match. Like, truly, it has to be something within you. No one else can do it for you. You have to be able to be in that situation, and whatever it is for you, like whatever you've been moving through, there might be a conversation. Even it might just be a war in your head. It might just be thoughts in your head, or maybe it's like something in the real physical perceived reality. And that's your opportunity to stay conscious the whole time and say, no, if you are truly, and you're in your new timeline that you chose, how does that person respond to situations? Because they're probably really abundant. They're probably not afraid. They probably have no lingering guilt and shame, and they're not going to hide and be, in this shell of themselves. Right? And so you have to act from that place, and act meaning from within. Act with the energy within, because that can shift your whole reality immediately, instantly. It's really, really incredible to witness. And so another example is like a week ago, I'm feeling a little lonely, right? I was feeling lonely here in Switzerland, missing home, missing having people around me, all of that. And so that I lean into, like, where do I find like-minded people? And that's important. Like, I think that is really important, and that's something I still want to do. But then I started looking at like these like work trade things at yoga retreats, and I was like, oh, like maybe I'll do like a work trade thing. Like, I don't think I could even do like the part that they trade because I don't think I can live in their shared rooms because I have Arlo. And I'm also like looking at it, and I'm all like, I don't want to share a room. I don't want to work for free. I already said I don't want to work for anybody else ever again. Like, my new timeline doesn't align with that. But I want people around me. And so my unconscious wasn't acknowledging that in my new timeline, I get to have aligned people around me, and I get to have the life that I choose. I get to have everything that I want. I don't have to sacrifice things and be unhappy in areas anymore to have something that I want. That was the old timeline, right? And so I was kind of acting from a place of unconsciousness, and I knew that, but I still wasn't completely acknowledging it. And so then I had an interview this morning at 11. It was supposed to be at 11. And because in the past week, so much has shifted. Like, we've reached 1,000 subscribers on here. Like, I think I had like 200 or 300 a week ago. And it's just been moving really quickly. Everything's been shifting really quickly. And I've been remembering, and I've been feeling so supported and so with like-minded individuals. And that was my goal to come on here. I wanted to see the comments going off, and I wanted to see people responding to each other and us sharing messages of the divine and relating over it, because that's what's so beautiful about the internet, is that all these people from around the world who are like-minded, who are awake, can come together. And so it doesn't matter if you're solo traveling Switzerland, you can still have community. And so I realized within the last week, as we've been really growing here, is like, I am not alone. I do not have to sacrifice the parts of me that don't want to be told what to do, don't want to work for somebody else, don't want to work for free, don't want to share a space with somebody else. Like, I don't have to do that in order to have community. That was the unconscious telling me that I have to give and take. Like, I can't be fully happy, you know? And I realized that. And then this morning I'm like, hey, like, I haven't got your email. Like, how are we meeting? Like, you know, Zoom or what? And she was like, actually, like, our whole thing is booked. Like, we don't have any more positions. And like, I hope you understand. And I was like, oh, I'm in a different timeline. I was like, oh, we're not a vibrational match anymore. And thank God, like, I was relieved as well. And that's how you know that it's not for your soul, right? If you're in a visualization and you imagine yourself not getting that thing, does any part of you feel relieved? If so, that's not what your soul wants. And you can have better. You can have more aligned, and you can have fulfillment and joy and happiness. Oh, I love this message today. I really do. It resonates so deeply, and I think that it's going to find the right people in you. I hope that it's resonating deeply with you too, and that we can really see the truth of this and become free and move through this and get to just follow the joy completely, because we're in the new timeline, and we've proven to the unconscious, to the balancing forces, that we are no longer controlled by the things that kept trying to control us, because we've had those circumstances come up, those thoughts come up, and we've said, no, you're not real. You are the unconscious. I am an infinite being. I am unconditional love. I am, infinite abundance. I can have anything that I want. I could literally like walk through walls if I wanted to. It's all an illusion. This physical reality. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful that we get to come here and experience the contrast, right? But the contrast doesn't control us. We get to write our script, and then we get to watch, and we get to enjoy it, right? And we get to see, like, if we're watching the movie and we see some melting snow, and we see these things, these situations, we're like, they come up and we're like, oh, that's something that's trying to keep them small or afraid. It's so silly. Like, he knows that that's not real. And like, you get to write that that's no longer happening anymore, because you are so set and knowing in the truth. That is the most important part. You have to just know the truth of who you are in every single thought, experience, conversation, everything. If you can just stay so strong, you can have anything that you want. It doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to work hard. You don't have to like grind and do all these things. Those are all the unconscious. Those are all the old patterns. Those are all the things that have been keeping you in this old timeline. Set yourself free. If you think that you want it, you deserve it, and you can have it, let yourself have it. Oh, oh my goodness. Oh, that was great. That was so great. I hope that this resonated. If it did, please give this a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. I'm sharing daily videos on messages like this, and I'm so excited to continue showing up here, continue connecting with you. I will see you in the next video. Bye.